after getting the OM1 camera, and I did that video on the history of Olympus, I'm just hooked on buying old cameras. Hey Jerry, you got to stop me from buying all these old cameras. Yeah, Jerry. G'day, how you going? I've gone and added to my collection again. This is my second after I bought the OM1 camera, the PEN EES-2. So it's a beauty. Have a look at it. Solid as, they don't make them like they used to, completely made out of all metal, and it's got this beautiful little, I don't know, leather vinyl cover over it. Yeah, so I'm going crazy on eBay again. I blame that Zenography guy on YouTube. Every time I watch one of his videos, I want to go and buy something. If you don't know about him, he's a really good guy on YouTube, Zenography, and he does a lot of videos and he talks about all film cameras. So this came out around 1968, and it actually was the forerunner to the Trip 35. The Trip 35 is a very popular camera. This kind of came out before it, and it's practically the same as the Trip 35 with the metering and the mechanics and everything. But the difference is, because it's a pen, it's half frame. So what that is it takes two shots in the one frame. So you got the 35mm frame. This will actually take two shots. So what that then means is, when you look through the viewfinder, it's actually in portrait mode. It's taking the 35mm frame and it's making it in half. So you got a portrait here and a portrait there. So if you know what I mean, that's half frame cameras. I think something that Olympus invented it, I'm not sure, but they made it very popular with their PEN series of cameras. When you want to do landscape, you actually have to put it in portrait mode, if you know what I mean. So doing that will give you portrait, doing that will give you landscape. I think the main thing though, why they invented something like that, is to get more shots out of a roll of film, I guess. So 24 shots will turn into 48. So it uses selenium for its metering. Now I don't know what the hell that is, some sort of crystal, some magic selenium, some crystal taken from the philosopher's stone, I don't know, some element. So I think it's on the periodic table and it absorbs light and then it sends a charge or some shit. This sounds like something from Star Trek, so you set it to auto and that's it. So the selenium crystals will meter the light, and then it will decide on a speed of 1/40 or 1/200. That's it. There's only two speeds. And then it will then choose what aperture automatically. So what happens then, if it can't get the right exposure, it'll send up a little red flag. You see there? Little red flag saying I cannot get exposure, and that will stop it from firing the shutter speed. Now if you want to override that, you can, because you can put it in manual mode, but there from f2.8 to f22, but really that's for flash. But what that does then is it makes it go down to 1/40 only. So that's really more for flash. So the whole idea of this camera really is to put it in auto mode and then take the shot. But if you do want to have control over it, remember though, it's only going to be 1/40 speed. You've got your ASA film, so ISO, and that goes from 25 to 400, and that'll affect the metering. So when you set that, that'll affect the meter. Focusing, not much to it. You got one little man, two little men, three little men, and a little mountain, which is infinity. Hey Jerry, you see my new camera? We'll go for a big photo walk. Yes. So it's 30 millimeters D Zuiko lens, and because it's half frame, it's actually really a 43 millimeter lens equivalent. And another interesting thing, because it's half frame, so the aspect ratio isn't really 2:3 or 3:2 anymore. It's actually 3:4 or 4:3. So that sounds familiar. It's like the Micro Four Thirds, the aspect ratio. It's got a filter ring, 43.5 millimeter filter ring, so you can screw on. Not that I'm ever going to do that, but if you want, you can find a 43.5 millimeter. I don't know if they even make that. Did I bore you to tears, Jerry? All right, let's take a closer look. So you've got your winding mechanism here. There's the film advance, shutter. This thing here is the shutter count, is the film count. So as you can see, it goes up to 72. Click, click. There's the flash hot shoe. It's, as you can see through the viewfinder, it's aspect ratio. There's that red flag if the exposure isn't right when you're on auto mode. If you're off auto mode, it'll never come up because you're in manual mode. Magic crystals, tripod, releasing the film when you want to rewind it. Flash thingamajig, 4 flash. So technically the manual, that's what I said before, the manual of the aperture is for really just for flash, because the speed goes down to 140. If you put it on auto, then the speed will go from 140 or 1/200. When you're on auto, if there's a lot of light coming in, it'll choose 1/200, and I guess if there isn't much light coming in, it'll choose 1/40 speed, and then it'll modify the aperture automatically. Pop. Looks pretty clean, and as you can see there, half frame. Solid little compact beauty. It's a work of art. Never needs a battery because these seleniums last forever apparently. They're not radioactive, so if you make them angry they won't turn green, and it'll meter forever, I guess. So you've got a camera that will last forever. All right, pain in the ass. Selenium, schmelenium doesn't work. Put it on auto, wind it up. The red thing keeps popping up and won't press the shutter button. Jerry, did I just buy a dud? I think I did. I looked on eBay, buy as is. That's my fault. So I should have asked him, hey, can you do a little test? Before you buy on eBay, or if you go into the shops, here's 2 things to test. Because really, without the meter, it's useless, really. The whole point of it is to be in auto mode, so it can achieve that 1/200 speed. The first thing, put the cap on or cover it with your hand, cock it up, put it in auto mode, take the shot. If it works and the shutter goes off, then the meter's broken, because technically it should put up a red flag because you covered the lens. Why would it want to take a shot? So that red flag is to prevent you from taking the shot. That's the majority of the scenarios that I've read online. Everyone has that problem, that the camera shoots no matter what. The red flag isn't working, the selenium, the metering isn't working. Now the second problem, which is what I've got, is that it'll never bloody goes off. So test number 2 then is to go out into a bright sunny day, or just point it at a light globe, put it in auto mode, and the red flag does come up, then that's saying that the meter is broken as well. Even though it's perfectly exposed, the meter isn't working, so the red flag comes up. So there's 2 scenarios: the red flag never coming up, or the red flag always coming up. The first scenario will mean that it's not metering properly. It'll let you take the shot, but then you'll only find out later that it's either overexposed or underexposed. And the second scenario is that it'll never let you take the shot unless you put it in manual mode, and then it takes the shot, but it's 1/40, which is really only for flash. Jerry, what are you doing? Hey? So what am I going to do? Jerry, what am I going to do? Hey, what am I going to do, Jerry? Alright, so as Jerry said, we're going to have to shoot manually, which is probably cool actually. It's another challenge, it's a little challenge I guess I could use. I shot all day at 1/40. There you go, there's the title for my video. I'm a dumbass. 1/40 speed's way too slow, man. If I go out in the sun at 1/40, I'm going to burn a hole in the camera. I'm going to burn a hole through the film. So I'm thinking, unless I get ISO 50 speed, like the lowest speed you can get film, or I just shoot in overcast weather, or I shoot at dawn. At dawn or at dusk, blue hour. That 1/40 speed is just letting way too much light come in, and then there's no stabilization. So I mean, I got Buckleys of holding that bloody thing still. Jerry, hey, Jerry, you got any tips? Huh? Just scratch that. It's just way too hard. Hey Jerry, it's just way too hard. Or I'm not going to go out and take 48 metered shots. The whole idea of this was to point, click, have some fun, walk around with Jerry, point, click, have some fun. This we'll set up here. So I guess I only paid $90 for it, so not, $90 paperweight, but it's a very beautiful paperweight. Hit and miss really, especially on eBay. What are you going to expect? Old cameras, you're going to have hit and miss. So the best thing you can do is test it out before you buy it, especially these cameras, because with the OM system, with the OM1, it didn't really matter if the meter didn't work, because you had full control over the shutter and the aperture. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.